You are a long way from those plastic tables you used to set up at gas stations to recruit drivers. As Guy said, this is a huge SPAC deal, one of the biggest SPACs of the year. Why SPAC, given what a tumultuous year it has been, and why now?
Thanks for having me back on air, Emily. On your question, we chose the path that enabled us to get to the most important objective first, which is to get the best investors for our day one cap table. And with that, based on our PIPE investors that were attracted to the long-term growth opportunities that we've seen, and the very low redemption rates that happened during the de-SPAC process, we are actually extremely happy with the outcomes that we've achieved as well. Now, it is a very... Oops, sorry, Emily.
You've turned Grab into a super app, including delivery, payments, but also, of course, ride-hailing. How worried are you about a resurgence of COVID and Omicron right now?
So I think a critical part of Grab's growth trajectory over the last 2 years has been our super app strategy that has enabled us to be very resilient to the COVID challenges. To share a bit more about what it is, think about Grab as Uber, DoorDash, and Venmo all in one. Now, from the day when it starts, when you wake up, all the way when you go to bed, you're able to get your breakfast, pay for meals, send your friend gifts, buy groceries, and more. And why that is really important is because it enabled us to have things like shared fleet strategies with our largest driver partner network in the region, which enables our drivers with their super apps to decide if they want to transport people, deliver food or groceries seamlessly in the app, and therefore enabled us to very quickly pivot from mobility to deliveries over the last 2 years. Now, with this super app strategy, we're very confident that we can continue to serve the needs of Southeast Asia's users and our partners, despite whatever challenges COVID continues to throw at us.
All right. Still, though, losses widened to $988 million in November for the third quarter. Revenue also declined slightly. When do you expect Grab to become profitable?
So a bit of context, a large portion of the last quarter's results were because of non-cash expenses. There were more than $700 million of it, much of which will actually no longer be required with the de-SPAC that we just went through. Now, for us, the other important thing is that growth and profitability are not mutually exclusive. And you've seen that consistently from us over the past few years, where we've consistently developed very high top-line growth while also making very significant progress on our bottom-line profitability. For example, our mobility segment is already segment EBITDA positive with market-leading margins. Our deliveries business, which is a very young business, only 3 years old, also is EBITDA segment positive for various markets that we have. Ultimately, for us, what matters in our portfolio allocation strategy is that we will continue to invest into areas that we see huge, tremendous opportunities in and very strong momentum behind.
So Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, one of the fastest growing digital economies in the world. Where do you see the most growth coming from, and what new areas do you see Grab investing in?
A great question. So the two key areas that we're very excited about, the first of which we endearingly call ACE, or anything you can eat. We're expanding beyond our food deliveries businesses to include things like dine-in, takeout, and also groceries when you're thinking of cooking home. Basically, we want Southeast Asians to think of Grab whenever they're thinking about food. That's one area. The second important area is financial services, because in the region, 6 out of 10 Southeast Asians are still unbanked or underbanked. And we see a tremendous opportunity to use technology to make financial services more accessible and affordable. For example, right now, we provide critical insurance coverage for our driver partners for as little as 10 cents per ride. Ultimately, as you said, it is a huge growth opportunity in Southeast Asia. Our core businesses alone have a total addressable market of $180 billion by 2025, and that doesn't even include our newer growth areas and investment areas like digibanks and groceries.
Good evening, it's Guy in London. Thank you for staying up so late in Singapore to talk to us about all of this. It's fascinating. Emily and I were talking to Uber a few days back, and Dara was talking about his latest idea, which is to look at the logistics industry, basically creating a marketplace for drivers of trucks, etc. I'm wondering if that's an area that would be of interest to you as well in your region.
So for us right now, what we have is the largest driver delivery network in the region. And that to us is the logistical backbone for Southeast Asia that we believe can continue to support the e-commerce growth that the entire world is seeing. So for us, it's very much still focused on our driver partners and delivery partners. And we look forward to seeing what Dara continues to build as well.
Hui Ling, hi, it's Alex here in New York. Emily mentioned and asked about the resurgence of the new variant, Omicron, and I wondered if you could give me sort of what you're noticing on the ground. Are people staying at home more? Are people going to work more? Can you give me an idea of how the chessboard is being set right now?
Alex, it's a great question, and to be honest, it's a bit too early to tell. We ourselves have not seen any particular changes yet, but the days are, just early. So maybe over the next few weeks, probably some of these trends will start to become live.
What is Grab's strategy in Indonesia, Hui Ling? This is obviously a huge economy, and you've got GoTo there, established, homegrown tech competitor. What is the plan to take them on?
So Indonesia is our most competitive market, and it's a market that we actually entered relatively later. At the same time, we are already the leading category leader in the market in all of our core businesses, mobility, deliveries, and e-payments. So for us, what has enabled us to do this is a couple of things. One, our continued partnership with local partners like MTech, who have enabled us to continue to serve local SMEs in different ways that we were not able to before. Two, our continued partnership with our local government partners. For example, during COVID, when things were very dire, we, together with the government of Indonesia, actually set up more than 50 vaccination centers to try and encourage recovery. And this is really important to us because, one, when the country is doing well, we do well. And if there's anything that we can do to build this continued trust that we already have with them, that will always bode well short-term and long-term. Beyond that, I think our deliveries market and our category leadership there is a really important one that we're going to continue investing into and that we're quite excited about. And the super app strategy that I talked about earlier, where we have shared fleet strategies and local, hyperlocal technology investments that enable us to really have strategic advantages that are really difficult to replicate, are things that we'll continue building on.